working in high jobs. You know, so I came here, I succeeded in the US. I went back to Kenya, I succeeded. It is possible. I don't think you need to bash anyone or anything for you to fit anywhere. That's my message to Kenyans here, because I've heard these stories before. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, James. Can I go ahead?
Yes.
It's a very difficult thing to switch, but let me just introduce myself. Could you give me a minute? Stop laughing. Just like Prof said, we have been privileged to be in both worlds. The first time I came to this country was in 2000, and we didn't have GPS that you have right now. Technology you're talking about, we were doing MapQuest, putting maps on the dashboards and driving around. That's 26 years ago. And I've been here almost every year since 2000. I've also been privileged to work in offices that if you interacted with them, you would have information that can help you. I have worked at the county governments. I've worked for the federal government equivalent, that is national government. I worked as the head of radio programming at the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. More than that, I worked at Kisii County when the county governments came in and we were doing what you call institutional framework for county governance because it never existed. I moved on to work at Nairobi City County. I moved on to work as an advisor to President Uhuru on matters to do with young people. Then I moved on to work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as the Director of Communication. In between there, Prof, I dreamt of being your president. And the reason why I did that is because many of us are keyboard warriors and we bash and we are very good at criticizing. But when you are asked to present yourself to that seat for you to serve the people, you're not present. And so I presented myself as a presidential candidate because I want to believe that we need to shift our mindset from having personality-driven politics to issue-based. And so I was presenting myself. And for those of you who need to conclude this story, I was a presidential candidate for 6 days. On the 7th day, I rested. They revoked my nomination. But what am I saying is that, as Prof has noted here, we have been in positions of influence, and there's information that we have that is critical for our progress. Thank you.
Excellent. Clap for them, please. It's fantastic to be in the presence of such great panelists. And so the first question is really basic. You're all representing universities, or you're representing research or education units. Tell us about the status of AI innovation or AI use in your respective university or from your respective schools. Please, Prof.
Sure, thank you. As you know, even though AI started many years ago, for it to come into the public domain, it's been very recent when it's been released to everyone to sort of tinker with it. We usually have what we call faculty symposium every year. It's around August, where we bring our faculty to address an issue that they will follow up through the semesters. We follow the American system, so it's the fall gathering. And in 2024, AI was the enemy. And faculty were as hard as they could be, showing how students are cheating and they are going to make these bad mistakes and they'll be badly trained. In 2025, they were all very much interested in how they will use AI and pedagogy. What changed? We took a decision to say, this is the future. Whether you want it or not, our students are using those tools. In fact, one faculty member told me, you know, there is a student, I was supervising an exam, and I didn't see him copying anything. But from his paper, I think he used AI. So I said, did he have his glasses on? He said yes. I said, was using Google glasses. And that's how he was getting all the information. So they had to switch and understand that really there are things that are happening with our students that they need to be ahead of if they're going to train them. Number two, we took our faculty, about 110 of them, through a training on pedagogy and AI. Today we have programs we teach.
Prof, before you continue,
Yes.
so that we have everybody going along with us, what's pedagogy?
Yeah, thank you. That was not a panelist I was going to ask.
The style of delivering information to learners that allows you to meet their learning needs and you to articulately present your information.
It's a teaching method.
Okay.
Yeah, teaching method.
How to teach?
Yes.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so the 110 faculty went through, we did both virtual and face-to-face. And then today we have about 6 faculty members from the School of Science and Technology that are either researching on or teaching. We have a course on AI and robotics that is taught. We use general education where students take about a third of their courses are in general education. There is a course which introduces every student to AI, among other things. So we are slowly doing this. And then, of course, our students are very are keen to what's going on, and in our innovation and center, they go on and do all kinds of trials and things. Let me say, the university is a place where students can make mistakes with this AI stuff. If you go out in the industry and you make a mistake, you're costing me money. Yes.
But if we piggyback on Maurice's point of how it seems like we're too theoretical, what you're saying so far is sounding very theoretical. So what are some things that your university is doing precisely to push innovation in AI? And then we'll segue to Walter.
We have sessions at the Innovation Center where students every single day has an opportunity. Wednesdays are hackathons. Throughout the night, somebody comes in with a problem, and the students try to solve it. And that you'll find that the Innovation Center is not just for people in tech, it's for people in languages, people in pharmacy, people in business. So we allow students to go through that. So you'll find there are a number of businesses that students have started out of that in the university.
Okay, thank you very much. So hackathons and businesses have come out of your university. Excellent. So
I feel that my project is owned by the university, or it's going to die as a university project. The other one I've seen that is working well, that I also work with the students of JQuat. They also have the JQuat enterprise version. But we have seen several innovations that are coming out of that. So I think it's just a matter of our education system to make sure that the innovations that are happening at the university, they see the end of life as they go to the market and the students get recognized. All right, thank you.
So more transparency, open support for student innovation. Maurice.
Thank you so much. So I'll ask 3 questions, and comments. So number 1, Kenya was way ahead in technology. And in 2016, I spent 3 years in Nigeria. And the Nigeria Silicon Valley, they call it, there's a name that used to call it. They used to look upon Nairobi, because Nairobi, we started hardware way before any other African country. And even to date, we have the most hardware engineers in Nairobi than any other African countries. But if you look at what is happening in Rwanda today, Rwanda is way ahead. Rwanda started drone deliveries way before Kenya. Still up to date, we don't have drone deliveries in Kenya. Rwanda, if you go to Rwanda today, within some hours you can register your company. Still in Kenya, you have different licenses that you need for you to start operating. So that's number 1. Number 2, I want to talk about, again, education. So for me, I feel technology and a lot of things have moved on, but our institutions have not moved on. Do you know why kids are dropping out of schools today? Because an 8-year-old kid has a TikTok account. 14-year-old has a TikTok account. They make a lot of money than the teachers. So now, what will happen? 15-year-old kid can afford to buy a car. And then you are keeping those kids in class, telling them that this is your future, while their future is in their phones. So for me, I feel if we change the education, we start teaching them, I want TikTok to be taught in class. Because that's the new TV. We don't watch TV anymore. Even us, we always scrolling Instagram, TikTok. How about we train the teachers? We introduce these social medias in class. We tell that you don't have to remove, to wear a tumbo cut for you to trend. We need to teach the kids, this is how you're able to trend. In China, you're trending if you invent a product. But in Kenya, you do something, you trend. So our kids will keep on thinking for you to trend, for you to have followers, for you to make money, you have to do pranks on your parents. You have to do some, you saw kids that were almost hit by buses just for them to trend because we are not teaching them this in school. So the last thing, the trainers. So there's something called vibe coding. You can build software literally by just typing words and the AI does everything. So I took 10 schools in Kenya and I decided I'm going to teach the kids about vibe coding. Within 1 week, the kids were already building software. To my surprise, the teachers that were supervising the kids, no single teacher that was able to see what is happening in front of them, kids building software using their mobile phone, and the teachers to have interest to be able to see what's happening. At least by the time the program is over, the kids have questions, we'll go to the teachers to ask them those questions. So the teachers are not interested. So for me, I think the mindset, the training has to start with the teachers. Because I believe they are, of course, their teachers will respect them, but the world has already moved on. We need to retrain the teachers on what is going on in today's world so that they can educate our kids, because we are still teaching them in ancestral ways of, and we have already moved on. Thank you so much.
Maurice, okay, now you are president of Kenya. You're being too popular in this room.
Maurice, my mother was a teacher, and she doesn't know how to use a computer, but I give her grace because she produced a daughter that can build agents. So even as we attack our teachers, let's remember that they were in an era, as my son reminds me, your era used to have computers that have backs, and my era has iPhones. So let's remember the era that also our teachers were in. They were in an era where they had to absorb not just the computer, they had to absorb even internet. My mother keeps asking me what that is, and for her to use WhatsApp, that's such a milestone. So let's extend them grace.
Mercy.
Because without them, we would not be here. Let's have the other one.
Yeah, that last question from that table, and then we bring it back to the panelists, and then we'll take more questions. So one question real quick, and then we bring it to this guys.
Thank you so much. Prof, we've mentioned a little bit the connection between universities and innovation. For example, Silicon Valley, you're talking about Stanford, you're talking about Berkeley. You go to Silicon Slopes, you're looking at Brigham Young University, University of Utah. My question is, specifically from your experience in terms of university funding, what is your honest opinion in terms of how the government is playing its role in making sure that we fund research in our universities? Are you satisfied yourself?
Excellent, I like that question. And we'll take a pause there and bring it to the panelists, and then we'll come back, okay? The reason I like that question is I had it in my list, and I gave you the opportunity to be the star, so thank you. Yeah, so Prof mmesikia maswali. Maswali ni ngumu. Kwanza yule Morris, sio mtu mzuri, amesema education is lagging behind. Whatever you're doing in school is null and void. Respond to that. Number two, vibe coding. Trainers hawana shughuli, nyinyi akina prof. Kazi yenu ni kukaa tu. Siasa mingi hakuna. Nothing. So that is what he said, alimaanisha hivyo, Sasa nawainterpretie kama Mkenya. And then the last question was on funding, So are you satisfied with the funding, and why or why not? Let's start with Walter and then we go to Prof.
Yeah, thank you very much. I got this. Let me say this. And I'll just tail back on what you talked about, institutional contribution to this technopolis we are all talking about. Number one, it's important for us to know that Kenya as a country is not sitting at periphery on these matters. Let me paint this picture. The gentleman started by talking about the things that interventions that are being in place so that this can be consumed. I always say this, structure eats stress for lunch. Anything that you're doing outside structure becomes a problem if it's not structured. Now, Kenya has a permanent seat on the global top table when it comes to AI. Number one, Kenya in 2024 is the first African country to appoint a tech envoy, a gentleman called Ambassador Phil Kigo. Why? Because we have to have it in a structured environment for us to reap these benefits that we are talking about. Number two, Kenya is the only African nation among the 4 founding members of the International Network of AI Safety Institutes. And the essence of having that is what we are talking about, ethical AI usage and all that. And without those frameworks, we cannot measure our gains. We can only talk, but we can't measure. Now, coming back to the question of the gentleman Morris, who's exciting all of us. Morris, it's not a question of trying to teach our old people to catch up with the ways of life. It's the goodwill we are talking about of getting champions of real time in order for us to progress. Why are you struggling with trying to get a government official who's 6 years old, trying to get him to use the computer, when we have professors here who are producing many young people into the job market? The struggle that we have, and we must admit that we have a problem. And that's the only way we can solve that problem. We must admit that we have very, very advanced senior officials who are from the old methodology, and honestly trying to make them struggle with this aspect, it's a problem. So at what point do we allow ourselves as human beings and as Kenyans truthful reflection that the people who are leading these conversations are not the right drivers? And those are the things that we must begin to ask ourselves, who are we trusting with the processes in order for us to progress?
Thank you, Walter. Who are we trusting with the process? Prof, answer some of these, especially the funding one, and if Tunalala for university.
Yes, Tunalala to But let me say this. There was once a video that was shown of some farmers in Zimbabwe where this developer went and found they have a wonderful river and there was enough land to grow tomatoes. And so he asked, why don't you grow tomatoes? They say, well, we have challenges. He said, no, let me show you how to. The developer came, grew tomatoes. Just as they were ripening, the hippos came out of the river and cleared everything. We come at issues the same way, without asking, what have the people tried first? And I'm always amazed by Kenyans. You come to the US 1 year, suddenly Kenya doesn't have a context. You don't know how to do things. You go straight to students. There is nowhere where you go straight to students, even in the US. I mean, don't mystify things here. We know this country. You can't sell maize from Iowa the same rate as Illinois. But yet we are being told to open up our markets. So let us understand the context first. How are students trained? How do you get to the school to introduce a new topic? I mean, this is it. You can't come to my house and start telling my kids what to do. They go through me. If I am in charge, I am in charge. And I think let's just do that. So we are sleeping, but let me tell you, if you want change, you have to think about what are you telling us that we haven't tried? And why are we stuck? Let's come to research. They were supposed to get to 2% of our GDP to do research for universities. We have not even gotten to 0.0 something because there's no funds. Today, the government is supposed to fund the university education up to 70%. in a differentiated cost, where if you're doing pharmacy, you get 700,000, or if you're doing this and this and this. I can tell you there is not a single time that it has gone beyond 30%. So if you have no money for fees, do you even have a cent for research? Then there's a flip side. We, at our university, we have research funds. We have up to 5 million for startup, for people to apply. They would rather teach more than waste time doing research because it doesn't give them as much money. So what are we talking about? There are government institutions that do not have enough resources. There are some private ones that have resources, but the faculty don't want to take advantage of it. So what do we do? You work with the ones that are interested. And the champions will always do things. That's why I'm saying we create the environment and let the ones that want to participate in it, because it's not everyone who will do this. And let me get away from this idea, oh, you know, I dropped out of school and I'm a successful, I'm a millionaire. How many people do that? You can cite one person out of a million. That doesn't make sense.
Prof Anasema, there's only one Morris in this room. And then also something he said that's very interesting. He has also said, suddenly you're so clever. You came here through the university system, now it's bad. All of you went through KU, UON, and all those bad universities. Now you're pretending. Anyway, we're up against time. Unfortunately, we're up against time. But here's the advantage. We have slotted. We are so forward thinking. We thought about time for you to negotiate, hang out, interact, network with some music in the background. How many of you like music? Yes, music in the background. You ask these questions later. So now we're going to give an opportunity for only one person. Let's give the reverend. Father, you'll give us blessings.
And before that, I want to commend the Kenyan professors. 4 years ago, there was a complaint here that our students, their papers were being written by Kenyan students, and they would be... that was before ChatGPT came to take over the Kenyan students' jobs. So whatever you're doing good. Still, we still wonder, for students in Kenya, in the United States, in the global world, whether this ChatGPT or the AI doing examinations for them, whether we are not going to produce a generation which will not be educated because their work is done elsewhere. I was told to make a blessing. I don't know whether.
No, it's okay. Not yet. Oh, thank you. So I guess the comment was just to bless professors. All right. Well, professors, bouquet your flowers from reference. So we're going to bring that question to here instead.
Okay, thanks. Prof, I want to acknowledge you, and I do want to acknowledge a couple of things that you said. One, I want to acknowledge that there's outliers, and we have to recognize that outliers are not mainstream. So that's number one. Number two, the challenge we have in Nairobi is relative to the rest of Kenya is the same challenge we have in urban cities in the US relative to rural cities. So the challenges are the same. Which comes to my question, two-part question. One of the gaps I see with AI is the punitive nature when students use AI, or the students are told not to use AI because they'll be punished. But then in urban areas, and especially in the suburbs, use of AI is encouraged in schools because that then sparks more creativity. So I'm curious if that is a problem that you've recognized and how you address that. Basically encouraging students to use AI and not punishing them because they'll be caught for cheating and so forth. And then the second question is about metrics. As you know, you were here for a really long time. Universities, part of the measure of the universities is how many of their students succeed in gainful employment. And as a result of that metric, there's an incentive for universities to go to the workforce to make partnerships with the counties, the cities, the corporations, so they can push their students into that workforce. And because of that, that becomes a measure that also has a financial incentive to them. Does that exist, and is that something that's scalable in Kenya? Thank you.
Thank you. You have your questions?
James,
Yes.
just start one more thing. Prof, we're friends with Prof. I've been to his institution a number of times, and of course other universities. Prof, I think there's something that we need to recognize as people who are here, right? If possible, everyone would be having a PhD and they would be successful. That is one. There's also possibility that you have to recognize that life can either go either ways, right? Sometimes, if you're not meant to be educated as much, then you can also take a path that can also change your life. This young man here, Maurice, I think we have to say that what he's achieved is not simple, but it's not again not achieved by so many people, but he's achieved it. We can give example of people in this country who dropped out of school and they still became successful. There are many people who didn't go to school, they are badly worse off. And there are also people who are educated and they're not doing well. There's a reason why I love this conversation. Now we're looking at the coin in both sides. Because I don't want us to look at coin in one side, that education comes with success. It doesn't work out that way. And this conversation that I think is very helpful for us, and I'm looking forward to having this conversation. Prof, so tomorrow we end this session, and I want us, all of us, tomorrow to talk about the outcome of this session and what we are going to chart forward starting tomorrow evening. One of the things I did my computer class 2006. We used Fortran, COBOL, Basic, Visual Basic, Pascal. If anyone remembers that, you must be as old as me. Things changed. AI, I had AI and I loved the word in 2007. Somewhere it got lost. I never heard of it until like 4 years ago. Everyone now understands what AI is, and somebody defined what AI is. I'm in an institution, you're in an institution that probably those who did computers, if they never went back to school, 10 years, 5 years down the line, they can never catch up with the technology. I happen to be in a class, teaching a class 7th, where the student is my former dean, in the current dean of the Department or Faculty of ICT, a public school in the university in Kenya. I sit this side, I teach my dean. And I love the bold move that she did. Because she realized that unless she updates her skill, they are not going to give the best out of the kids, right? So this is what we want to recognize, Prof. One of the things that I think we need to appreciate is that the people who have been in the system, please allow them or ask them to update their skill so that even the young man who is 14 years old can be gaining much from them, not because they're not experienced, it's because that there are many things that are happening every day that they need to learn. One of the things I think we need to do, how do they reskill or upskill teachers so that they can be able to compete in the world of AI, where a 14 years old know much more of AI than a 90-year-old who has all the PhDs and the professorship or whatever they have, but this was done like 10 years ago. So that's, I think, one thing conversation that I need us to have, and let's agree that whatever we're discussing here is very, very healthy, from Maurice to Professor and everyone. Thank you.
You take it back to the panel.
I have the mic, so. Punitive nature of using AI. Yeah. We have those disparities. And you know, all these questions have to do with power. AI is taking away the power of the classroom teacher who was the sage on stage.
Correct.
And people don't change quickly. We are now dealing with change management, where information that I used to share, I don't know, I mean, I went to school when the lecturer would dictate notes. Now imagine the notes you're giving me, I can get them in 2 seconds, and they are even updated. And I challenge the perspectives you're giving and say, but actually, the author that you're citing wrote an updated version of that book, and it says this. You've lost your power as a faculty member. And we've not trained them to see themselves now as a coach on the side. We are training them still to do the same stuff. And the kids are like, I'm only here because you have the power to give me an A. Otherwise, I don't need the information that you're giving me. Until we shift the role the teachers are being given, we'll still have these disparities. You see, when you go to Nairobi, you find a lot of high-cost schools. And the parent says, you know, I'm paying these thousands and thousands of shillings. I don't want you to be doing this to my child. And they have the power. But you go to Kadonzoeni Primary, or Yokajok Primary School. There's nothing like that. The kid has no power, the parent has no power. It's like they have this thing that they have to bow down and, you know, bring things to the teacher. So the disparities of power is what is making this such a challenge. And students who are empowered will do that. I mean, you go to the St. Andrews Turi. I mean, you're talking about a very different world. Even just the national schools, some of them, very different world. Student measures, we've tried that at QSIU. We've struggled because people don't want to tell us where they're working. But we've turned into now the method of looking for them on LinkedIn, because that's where people. So our researchers now go to LinkedIn and, you know, find their students, and we try to do that. We're seeing at least 80 to 80% of our students are getting gainful engagement. But let me just say that I think we should start looking at education as building us for citizenship. We move away from this. This is a ticket to a job, because the jobs are so volatile. We need to be moving fast all the time. What kind of skills are we giving them that will keep them on their feet when what they needed to do has changed, maybe through AI?
All right. Thank you, Prof. Nyambane, I would like you to comment briefly on those two, but I want you to take this one head on, upskilling the teachers, because that was one of the questions that was asked by Mak'Ouma. How do we upskill the teachers so that they're not being left behind? Please.
Thank you very much, and it's been a wonderful opportunity for us to share this. Allow me to, Dr. Ouma, in a country or in a continent where we are talking about 70% youth population, we are talking about churning almost 800 university students every year. We are churning out younger people into the system. Why do we want to still go back to our old professors, try and upscale them? Why do we want to do that? That's a question I want us to deliberate. So long as, I'm still on the ethical aspect of the AI in schools, so long as the educational system is exam-based, where I'm going to do my exam and pass and get to the next grade, we are still going to have moral gaps. And we are still going to struggle in the absence of what we call institutional AI policy. I can tell you this, the absence of a policy does not help you to determine how you're going to use your resources. And that is why, personally, as I end this conversation, so long as things are not within a certain structured environment where we are following protocols, we're going to have the moral gaps, we are going to have protocols that are absent and we don't know what to do. And if somebody doesn't have somewhere he's going, why would you call him that he's a lost guy? That's my end sentence. Yeah.
Now, there's a lady who really has been saying she has to ask a question. If she does not ask this question, she's voting 2 times. So, you have your mic. Go ahead, please.
The mic. First, I'm going to make a comment on what you just said about upscaling teachers. When I came to this country, I found out that when teachers finish their college, they always, every summer, and that's why they have their summers, they have to do professional development, which is not really done that much in Kenya. It is very necessary. And we do need to continue to train teachers. We do need to continue to upskill them. It's very important for them, and it also makes them proud. I mean, they went for that profession, so why not make it proud for them? The other comment, I really was not going to ask a question. I wanted to make a comment about all of us who have come here to get our so-called PhDs, our so-called degrees and all that. When we came here, most of us found college here very easy. Why? Because Kenyan education was good. It taught us how to be critical thinkers. And that is what we want to continue having. All these other skills, all this programming, all these other things, they're going to continuously keep changing. But if you're not taught how to learn and be a long life learner, then you're not going to be that successful. TikTok is going to be here, it's going to be gone tomorrow. If you do not have those skills of how to learn, you're not going to be successful. That is why most of us are successful, because we had that grounding education in Kenya. And as I have been here for 35 years and I've not gone back to Kenya. And I still say that my background in Kenya is what has made me successful. If it wasn't for that, I would not have been successful.
Exactly. So mlifika hapa sasa mnataka kuanza kujifanya. But thank you very much. That's your flowers again, Professor. Now, we really have to finish. I have to go set up another thing. Please, the people on the panel, please clap for my panelists, please. Thank you. This conversation will continue. Let's take this photo and then we'll move on. And we want to thank